if you roll the clock back to the beginning of the decade, you know, I fancied myself a Twitter commentator. I would watch things in the tech space. And you know how there are like these Twitter people and they post things and they get 3 likes and they think that someone's noticing? Okay, so I was posting and I might get like 12 likes or 8 likes, and probably like half the people work for me that liked it. And I had opinions about all sorts of stuff. You know, I was a big tech enthusiast. I wrote a book called The Mobile Wave, published it in 2012. And you know, and I was fascinated with the idea of what happens when software is dematerialized and starts running on a mobile device. And if you're sleeping with your software and it can wake you up, you know, how would that create a business opportunity, you know? And the mobile wave winners were like Facebook and Amazon and Apple and Google. What can you do with a mobile phone? You're not going to book a hotel reservation on a PC, you know, but when you've got a mobile phone and you're out on a Saturday afternoon, then maybe you could actually do something commercial or communicative or, you know, et cetera. So I tweet this and that. I'll say 2 things. One, I didn't even remember I tweeted this thing when I actually announced we bought Bitcoin in 2020. All the Bitcoiners, they scoured everything I'd said in the history of the world, and they bring this up. I'm like, did I say that? Wow. I noticed Bitcoin once. I literally had forgot I'd ever said it, right? But you know, got to give them credit that the internet never forgets. But what I was thinking when I did tweet that was, you know, I'd watched all these online poker sites. And, you know, it was a great idea. And remember tradesports.com, when you could bet? There used to be these prediction markets. I mean, there still are today. I think there's a love-hate relationship. People would like to vote on who's going to win the Super Bowl and, well, you know, which politician will win this. And they'll get them started, and then the regulators will shut them down. And so Trade Sports was like an online gambling site. And then they had online poker sites. And they were really big. What happened, by the way, is I think like the Indian casinos got together, gave a lot of money to the Southern Baptist Ministry that gave a lot of money to Jack Abramoff, and he went to lobby a bunch of, they stopped banks from allowing you to wire money into Trade Sports and online gambling sites. And first they did that. And then they actually pulled the CEOs of those companies off their flights while passing through Dulles Airport and arrested them. And that shut that business down. So much, you know, we all like to play poker. It was kind of fun, and bet on who's going to win the next election or whether it's going to rain on Groundhog Day. It seemed fun, but it became non-compliant and it just went away. So at some point, I probably read some random thing about Bitcoin and, you know, it was being used for Silk Road or used for whatever. And I said, well, it looks like it's going to go the way of online gambling. Some regulator will probably shut it down. And it probably got like 4 likes. You know, and okay, here's oblivious. When you tweet something and nobody notices, and you don't notice that nobody noticed. Right? There's a lot of Twitter influencers like that. Even today, people tweet some random thing and like they don't notice that nobody noticed or cared.
I'm feeling called out here.
My solution to every world problem was, mobile, you know, Amazon, Apple Music, Apple Photos, mobile apps, Amazon. Apple's going to ship a product to 1 billion people overnight for a nickel and change the world. And you ought to buy Apple stock. And I mean, that's my solution. Buy Apple stock, buy Amazon stock, buy whatever. And it works fine. And that's the mainstream. The mainstream big tech, or the mainstream investor, if they were successful in that decade from 2000 to 2020, they entered in the big tech trade. Like 90% of the gains in the S&P were like 5 companies. And if you know, and by the way, the tech, the revolutionary was going on to Wall Street and saying you should buy Amazon, or going to Wall Street and say you should buy Apple, you know, and the mainstream investors would say, well, you know, if Apple stock doubles, we should just sell it and rebalance, and we'll buy a bunch of other computer companies so you don't have too much risk. And they're like, well, if Amazon stock doubles, we should just sell it and buy some other retailers, Toys R Us, whatever, something, not too much risk. Okay. And my view at that time, Apple Music, they can ship anything that's mediocre average, but they can ship it to 300 million people with a marketing cost of $1. And they could ship it to 1 billion people over the weekend for the cost of the electricity, like a nickel. And everybody else has to, like Peloton's got to manufacture a bunch of treadmills and put them in inventory. And, they got to deal with real world issues. I lost $1 million in a bank in Brazil when the head of the bank just stole the money. I never got it back. Well, so I saw that counterparty risk, rug pull, but it was a conventional. And then I lost $1 million in Argentina, when the Argentine peso was 1 peso to the dollar. I literally remember when the peso was 1 peso to the dollar, right? If you Google blue dollar right now, you'll find it's like 210 pesos to the dollar or something. But I remember when it was 1, and I thought, no way am I trusting the peso with my money. I had like a big company that was selling business intelligence software in Argentina. So I had about $1 million. And I said, well, I don't trust Argentine banks. Get me an American bank. You go, oh my, ouch, painful. I better find something to invest the cash in that's going to go up faster than the money supply expands. And hence, we're back to, can I buy a boat with it? It's like, I can't buy a boat. So should I buy gold? Should I buy land? Can I buy a building? Can I buy a portfolio of real estate? Should I buy baseball cards? What can I buy that's actually going to go up in value more than 20% a year? And to make a long story short, we sifted through everything. We thought crypto gold was a good idea. We sifted through all the cryptos. We thought Bitcoin was the crypto gold. And we started on this journey, and there's a long story about how we finally got into our position we are today, where we got like $5 billion worth of it. We started, to make a very short story, we started deciding we'll buy $250 million of Bitcoin, and we'll give $250 million back to the shareholders in a buyback. The idea being that the shareholders thought we're stark raving crazy and they wanted to get off the crazy train. They can sell their stock back at a premium. And that's what helps you to avoid getting sued, right? Because if I just did it and the stock traded down, then I immediately get a whole rash of shareholder lawsuits, alleging that I shouldn't have done it. But if we announce the initiative along with the buyback, well, the stock's going to trade up because we're going to buy back the stock. And that way it does a bunch of things. It's kind of prophylactic. From a shareholder relation point of view. It also rotates your shareholder base. And it also de-stresses the transition, because instead of if I got to put out a news release